I'm in Nelson at the moment. I'm down near the, I guess you'd call it the harbour or the river mouth. But let's pan around here. What a beautiful view. Now, I came to Nelson to pick up my motorhome, or camper van, however you might like to describe it. I'll show you that shortly. So this is the harbour. I've been to Nelson before, but I've mainly just passed through. Here's my motorhome. Now, the last time I was down in the South Island picking up a motorhome, Cyclone Gabrielle was heading towards Gisborne, and my journey got disturbed. I was hoping to go to Fox Glacier. Now let's just go for a quick walk through the motorhome, right? Let's try and zoom out. There we go. This is quite, I have to say, this really is quite a tidy motorhome. So here we go. This is a COF motorhome, so it's a heavy van conversion. Now, the previous owner said it was a cheap conversion, but this isn't a cheap conversion, whatever it is. This is a very nice motorhome, and I'd say that it's a professional conversion. Now, the trouble with it is that there are new rules coming out in New Zealand regarding self-containment, which I think are absolutely ridiculous. Now, there's a porta potty down here under the sink. Now, what the new rules state is that you must have a fixed toilet for self-containment. Now, over here, there you can see the fridge down there, a large gas cooker, and nice sink. So this isn't a cheap conversion at all. And the upper lockers here, all around the roof. Massive battery under there, 200 amp hour battery. No solar on the roof, but I'll put a solar panel on when I get back to Gisborne. Now, under here, over here, is a lovely set of drawers for all your cooking utensils. This van's pretty well fully loaded with cooking gear. Now, what I can do to make this vehicle self-contained, I can fit a fixed toilet here, which means pulling out this top, pulling out the drawers, and fitting a fixed toilet. I'm actually loath to do it because I think the drawers look really good and it's very practical, and it's going to look funny here with a toilet, but you know, there's nothing you can do about it. But to comply with the rules. Now, the thing is, when I camp, I like to go into the top 10 campgrounds, and they have full facilities there. So the reality is that for my style of camping, I don't really need a self-containment certificate because I don't usually stop in the cheap parks. Now, this is a 1996. A lot of people will consider that to be very old, but for me, you know, I remember back in the 80s, and I can remember the 90s, and for me this is a relatively well, it's 28 years old, which for a lot of people would be very, very old. But for me, you know, it's got a 4.5 litre diesel engine. And on the outside here, one of the great things with this vehicle is it's a full fiberglass body. And what that means is that you're not going to have rust. A lot of vans, basically you'd never really buy a 1995 van because it would just be too much rust. But this has got a full fiberglass body, which means that it's not going to rust. Now, when I purchased it, I crawled underneath, and it looks really tidy on the back end. Looks like it might have been sandblasted and coated at some stage, which you know is not unexpected. I'm going to clean up the front end a little bit. Nice. So I think it's a really nice camper. But getting back to the view, Just amazing. So I'm torn now, all right? I'm torn whether I head back to the North Island, because I am thinking about my 13-year-old son. He's got a dislocated shoulder, you know, and both of us had been very sick, because I went to pick up a motorhome in Rotorua, and then I ended up in Tauranga taking a vehicle back, and I got very sick after that, and then my son got sick, and then he dislocated his shoulder, so he's back at home with his mother. But they're coming up to school holidays. Now, they've had very rough weather in the North Island. Oh no, all over the South Island they had a lot of winds. I'm not seeing it here, but I was scheduled to come to Nelson yesterday, on the 18th of September 23. But they cancelled it because it was, Wellington Airport was closed, it was so windy. Look at that massive great mansion over there. God, I hate to imagine what that must be worth. 2 million or more, I don't know. Right on the waterfront in Nelson, with a spectacular view, I might add. But I was petrified when I woke up yesterday, because I knew that it was really, really windy all over the country, and I was dreading flying into Wellington. But luckily Air New Zealand cancelled the flight, and today we flew up to Auckland and then Auckland to Nelson. But lovely flight, good weather, very little wind. Now, in the next few days, it's going to be clear on Wednesday, which is tomorrow. But Thursday, Friday, they're expecting a lot more wind, which means that the Cook Strait crossing could be quite rough. So I'm torn as to whether I should linger in the South Island or head back to the North Island, make the crossing before it gets rough, because next week it's going to be school holidays, and they've had a lot of problems with the Cook Strait ferries. So if I leave it too long, then it's going to run into school holidays, and I might have trouble getting back across the Cook Strait, because there's going to be a lot of people wanting to travel. Now, I could just disappear down to the South Island, but fuel is expensive at the moment. Fuel prices have gone up, and this is a 4.5 litre diesel, which means that it's not going to be cheap to run. But I don't really care about the cost of diesel. So I'm weighing all those factors. A, my 13-year-old son sitting back in Gisborne. B, the weather coming up. C, the school holidays coming up. Oh, but it is lovely here. I'm very tempted to just, I don't know whether I should leave Nelson and head towards Picton so that I can make a crossing on the Cook Strait tomorrow, or whether I just hang around Nelson. Very tempted to head up the west coast of the South Island, but I am conscious of the cost of diesel. And so what I said is that I like to incorporate the journey home with a little bit of camping. So I know that I can head up the desert road past Mount Ruapehu, and that's a lovely scenic drive. So I'm going to sign out now. I've been talking too long. See you.